So we had the product, they had the distribution, we negotiated a royalty licensing. And if it's a win-win for both parties, that's when things explode.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of In the Den. Today, I am joined by none other than the dynamic and multi-talented Kasey D'Amato. Kasey is a business coach, an entrepreneur, and a growth expert. In 2009, Kasey launched her first business. So we share birth years for our companies. So congratulations. But for those of you who might not know you, Kasey, tell us a little bit about yourself and certified PA consulting.
Yeah, thanks for having me here, CJ. I'm excited to chat with you. Yeah, Certified PA Consulting was my very first business back in 2009. It was started as sort of a side hustle, and now it's matured beyond that. I've started other businesses, and it all started sort of in the kitchen. I sat there, I looked at my husband one day in Calabasas, California, and said, should we start out on a bigger venture? And we started with Certified PA Consulting. I was a dermatology physician assistant in Santa Monica, California, and helped coaching other medical providers. And then soon after that, we launched a much bigger venture, the first natural medical grade skincare line, and we've gone on to start other businesses. So it's been a sequence, started in 09, and just been learning and growing over the years since then.
It's so awesome. And you're super heavy in the healthcare and kind of business development aspect. Who are some of the biggest influence or mentors that you've had throughout your career and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. We all start out someplace. Like most of us don't go through an MBA and then start our business. We start somewhere else and then we start our business from outside influences and mentors. Mine was one of the first physician employers in the private practice I worked in, was very sophisticated businessman, very smart physician, as well as a real estate investor. And he really taught me the ropes of business models, not only of clinical medicine, but then of other businesses. And I springboarded from there to start other businesses. And I have online courses and, coaching programs and all those things. In addition to, starting skincare and all those things. So he was really my first mentor along the way because he wore multiple hats. And I thought that I couldn't wear multiple hats. We go to school for that one degree and we think that's really what we are destined to do. And he really opened my eyes up to being able to do anything. We all can do anything and start any business and even start multiple businesses. Very well as well. And though he was really my first mentor. And since then, I follow people like Tony Robbins. I'm a big fan of mindset because I think that is undervalued and underappreciated, the power of mindset as a business owner and an entrepreneur, especially if you want to grow and scale quickly or manage multiple businesses. Mindset is critical. So Tony Robbins is another big influence. I don't know him personally, but I've been to many seminars and obviously read the books and all those good things.
Yeah, and I love that because I agree with you. Like there are tons of books out there about, selling and marketing and, entrepreneurship, but at the core of it, even as an entrepreneur, we're human, right? And, we have those human elements. And I do the same thing. I just was on someone's show and they had asked me the same thing. And, for me, some of my big influences are people like Tony Robbins or Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, like because they talk about you as an individual and overcoming your own obstacles and the things that get in our way. And entrepreneurs are the first ones who get imposter syndrome and they really struggle with the should I, could I, what if I did this? So I completely agree. Let's give our audience a little bit of a teaser. I don't want you to give too much away, but what are some of your straightforward ways that you look to generate revenue for a new business?
Yeah, no, that's the $1 million question, right? No, that's a multi-million-dollar question. So straightforward. So when people are starting out in business, the awareness and the trust are the two most critical elements. So people have to know who you are, who your business is, what product or service that you have. If nobody knows about it, if you don't have any awareness, then you don't really have a business, no matter how amazing your product or service is. So awareness and trust are the first two things that I focus on with any business or client that I'm working with or coaching. And the second two would be partners and collaborators, other people that you can team up with to accelerate, whether that is mentors and coaches, whether that's other business owners, whether that's other experts in marketing or sales, who are the other people that can bring something to the table. So first, it's the awareness and the trust. Second, it is who partners and collaborators in all different areas to accelerate. And that, to me, that's the secret $1 million answer to starting, growing, accelerating, really any business. There's other nuances, of course, but those are the biggies that if you have those in place, you're going to move a lot faster than people that focus only on their product or service as their baby, and they're neglecting the awareness, the trust, or they're undervaluing the power of the partners and the collaborators.
I happen to agree with you. I think that trust, particularly trust inside of a relationship, those relationships are super important. And maybe that's part of your answer for my next question. But my next question is, okay, so you've got this business idea, you've got it off the ground, you start to have revenue coming in, it feels good, things are looking good. How do you keep that, maintaining that consistency, right? How do you keep that income coming in on a consistent basis?
Yep. I operate from a tight 6-step funnel, not a funnel like a ClickFunnels. I mean, I love ClickFunnels, but ClickFunnels are more of the sales act. That's kind of the conversion step. I operate on a really tight 6-step funnel, starting with that awareness and then trust, those being the first two. The next one being the acquisition, meaning how is that client or customer making that first point of contact, whether it's an email opt-in or a phone call to your business? What is that first moment of trust that they are reaching out to you in some way to learn more? So it starts with the awareness, then the trust, then that acquisition of either an email or a phone number or something where they're reaching out. They want to learn more. They're now engaging. Then comes the conversion, right? Then it's that you've built enough trust that they want to do business with you. They want your product or service because it will help them. It will impact their business and their life. And then probably one of the biggest points that people underappreciate and undervalue is the retention. Once you have achieved those first 4 steps, everybody's like, great. And they're celebrating the win. When you're the business owner, you've now have that new client or customer. How do you retain that person? How do you make sure you're continuing to deliver that value to that person so that you're retaining them? And then eventually they're becoming a raving fan and they're marketing for you and they're telling the world how amazing you are at helping them personally or their business or whatever it is. So for me, I look at those 6 steps in a really tight system, monitoring, different metrics at each step of the way. And if you have that system in really tight, then you can dial up, dial down, you can cancel things that aren't working, you can modify things, and you can develop a very predictable income source. You can start to know exactly what awareness leads to and trust leads to that acquisition and conversion, and what activities there lead to your retention. So it's all about that 6-step funnel and dialing it in tight.
I'm so glad you brought up retention, because I believe that one thing that most entrepreneurs really suffer from is that they're usually salespeople, right?
Yes.
That's they have the ability to sell their idea. That's how they
Yes.
have that confidence,
Yes.
move forward. But they forget
Yes.
that it's much cheaper to retain than it is to
Yes.
constantly be going out there and fighting for new clients. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I do believe that that's the key. Inconsistent. Yes, you can build out a great sales team. You can continue to add to it and have them, bring it in. But life gets a lot easier when you're able to retain what you're bringing in. So I'm glad that you did that. And another thing that most entrepreneurs are very familiar with is negotiation strategy. So let's talk a little bit about how that has played a role in your business growth and your revenue generation.
Yes, I'm a big advocate of negotiation. I love negotiation strategy. In one of my businesses that's a coaching and consulting business, we teach all about negotiation. And one of the biggest points that most people overlook or undervalue when it comes to negotiation is they think that the negotiation is about a win for you, for me. It's like we're going out to buy a car. We're like, we got a great deal. We negotiated and we won. But really in business, the negotiation is about a win-win for both parties, because if the power of the win is just as strong for the other party as it is for you, then you're going to propel so fast together. I mean, I started this negotiation strategies back in the mid 2000s before my first business, and I negotiated a productivity based salary structure as a medical provider. And then I've gone on to negotiate with our skincare line with a global distribution partner. So we had the product, they had the distribution, we negotiated a royalty licensing. And if it's a win-win for both parties, that's when things explode so much faster. People think the negotiation is just a one-sided, but it's really about both parties benefiting and both bringing value and skill to the table and both accelerating together. And that's when the negotiation power really can propel a business to the next level.
Yeah, you see like those memes or those gifs where it's like, a negotiation. Are you happy? No. Are you happy? No. Okay, we have a deal.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like, no, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I think a true negotiation, everybody walks away feeling like, okay, we came up with the best possible outcome, for ourselves and, for our partner. Now, In the Den is a marketing podcast, right? So, we talk about marketing. That's what we do. How have you used marketing as part of your revenue generator, your strategy for your businesses?
Yes. So I'm a big proponent of digital marketing. So especially email marketing, social website, you name it. And I'm not a tech expert by any means. So if any of your audience feels intimidated by digital marketing, I can relate. I am not a tech person, but I am a huge proponent of digital marketing because it comes back to that original awareness step. If you don't have a powerful website and you do not have social, people are looking you up. They want to learn more about you. You don't have any videos for people to look and understand who you are, what your brand is all about. And probably the biggest digital marketing tool, the most powerful, in my opinion, is email marketing. And so many people underestimate the power of email marketing to build trust, to deliver value, and to encourage conversions. So you can do all of those things with email marketing. So, and it's the entire ecosystem of digital marketing. I apply them in our coaching and consulting business. We did in our skincare business. I did it as a medical provider, across the board in everything that I've done. There's been an element of digital marketing, and I'm always learning new skills and trying to not be intimidated by the tech because it's such a powerful tool, without a doubt, no matter what your industry is.
Yeah, and what I like about some of the things that you had said there, and people tend to forget, they look at digital marketing, particularly the paid advertising aspect of it, and they're like, okay, it's supposed to be a straight converter, right? Give me that conversion, give me that win. But something that you had said is, if you're not top of mind, like you're competing much heavier than you were if you're continuously doing things like email marketing, right? Work smarter, not harder. And there are so many aspects of digital marketing that aren't just about pay per click, but that are about keeping you top of mind, keeping people through the funnel, help pushing them from one direction to the other. Well, let's skip to some of the fun stuff. All right. So when I talk to entrepreneurs, one thing that I always know for sure is that they've got a million and one things going on.
Yes.
And you're, as a female entrepreneur, you have typically, I'll say typically, because not every woman, but most women have some added household, family duties that they have to do. So what do you do to kind of maintain a balance between your personal life and, the hectic pace of running businesses?
Yes, and that's took a long time to master because we get passionate about business and then we focus on that, then we neglect household or vice versa. We feel torn and it takes a long time to master. So I'm a big proponent of time blocking. So that's for sure a big part of my day. I also day block. So I have multiple businesses. Certain days are dedicated to certain business so that my mind is in that focus all day long on that business. And maybe it's content creation, maybe it's meetings, maybe it's client meetings, but I'm focused 100% on that area of my business and my client community. So time blocking is critical. I also reserve Fridays without any meetings, without any client meetings, business meetings. That's my catch up day or personal day. It allows me to then schedule a dentist appointment or those personal things that come up. Those are Fridays. Anything that I have to do where I don't want to be interrupted, it's a Friday. I also schedule a date night once a week with my husband, and we try to travel and completely disconnect from all screens at least once a quarter. We take a minimum of a long weekend and we try to disconnect to reflect and reset on the goals, where we want to be, personal, business, and all of those things. So I think it's just figuring out what's right for you with the time blocking, the goals, and where you want to spend your energy between your personal and your business.
Yeah, I love that. I think of it as like putting on the blinders, right? And I've had people say before, well, if you're only focused on this today, what happens if there's an emergency? And the way that I tend to explain it, it's probably a way that you do too, is if I'm handling emergency for my Tuesday day on Wednesday, I'm now neglecting whatever I'm supposed to be doing on Wednesday. And, and so putting on those blinders actually does help from an efficiency standpoint, because that fire is going to be there that next day or at that next available time slot. Whereas if you neglect to work on that fire, you're now creating another one.
Exactly.
So, and speaking of fires, and I talked about imposter syndrome, but I know personally that, no matter how good you are, no matter how confident you are, no matter how successful you are, there are obstacles, there are things that you have to deal with and that you have to overcome. What are some ways that you kind of tackle any setback or challenges that you faced in your business?
Yeah, we all face challenges and setbacks. Even the most successful people on social, even the most successful entrepreneurs, everybody's facing challenges and setbacks every day. It's part of the game. It's part of the excitement, and it's just you have part of the process is learning how to overcome those. So one thing that I do for myself and I help clients with is establish your team of who's. And most people try to solve their problem. They're thinking, how am I going to solve this? What am I going to do? Not necessarily who can I recruit to help me with this. And when I talk about who, I actually think about 3 levels of who's. So a team of people that have been there before you, mentors, coaches, consultants, advisors. And then another level of who's that are your collaborators or your partners. And then another level of who's that is your team, the people that are lightening your load, that are implementing and executing and taking those things off your plate. So to overcome those obstacles and challenges, the answer is almost always in the who. And at which level of who do you maybe have opportunity to fill in and build out your team a little more robust? Is it more coaches, advisors, mentors? Is it more collaborators and partners? Or is it more support team? And once you can start to recognize that, then overcoming the challenges becomes much more efficient, much faster, and the challenges are not as intimidating. They don't slow you down as much. Once you can start recognizing those 3 levels of who's, that's the secret to get you to the next level.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you brought that up because it's something that we talk about all the time, is the importance of the people around you and the right type of delegation, proper delegation, and definitely never being the smartest person in the room. When you're trying to run a business, that's the last thing. You don't want to be the smartest person. Like if not, your business just isn't going to grow. It's not going to take off. So kind of speaking of individuals that have impacted us. And you mentioned Tony Robbins and things like that. I'm an avid reader, and a lot of our audience does. Like reading is just, it keeps us young, it keeps us growing. What are some people, some books, some recommendations that you have that people really should kind of take a look at if they're looking to step into, enhancing their business or starting a brand new business?
Yeah. Like you were mentioning before, mindset is key. There's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, by a woman named Susan Jeffers. And I know her personally. She's now passed away, unfortunately. I knew her in Los Angeles. She's a lovely woman. And the book is fantastic for mindset and overcoming those challenges, overcoming obstacles, personal or business, honestly. I think her book is should be a required reading for all entrepreneurs. I love Awaken the Giant Within from Tony Robbins. And my third favorite, if I had to pick a third, would be 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey, because starting with the end in mind, business, personal, so that you can be intentional about those decisions that you're making in your business that affect your personal life or vice versa. I think that book is fantastic for setting up long-term goals and really living your life and your business with true intention.
Yeah, I love it. Mindset is definitely key. It's something that I am very passionate about as well. And I think that if you fall down the rabbit hole of like really reading a book, even if it's a business book, like something that is as old and wonderful as like Good to Great, right? When you read that book, there are so many times that your mindset and shifting that mindset and thinking about things in a different way, it comes up. And then you can turn around and you can read something that's like, enlightenment, about Buddhism or, whatever it may be. And it's the same skill sets, the same thing
Yeah.
that they're trying to, tell you about acknowledging where you're at and, still moving through it and, relying on the people around you. So I absolutely love that. So what do you have coming up, Kasey? What are some new and exciting things for you and your business that the audience would really benefit from knowing?
Yeah, it's my passion and mission to pay it forward, Rin. And I really want to impact. My goal is to impact 10 million service-based providers in the next 5 years. That's my goal, to share the message that you can scale your business in a way that it's not overwhelming and it's actually easier than you think. So that's my mission. That's my passion, with my new personal brand that I'm launching. And so I have a brand new fun quiz It's called Are You Ready to Be a $1 Million Business Owner? That's a free tool that's available, and it has customized suggestions depending on what your results are for the quiz. So that's sort of a fun new tool. And I also have a 6-month mentorship coming up called Scale It Easy, which is an entrepreneur CEO mentorship program. And the third thing that's new that I'm really excited about is I have a very small YouTube channel with just some YouTube shorts, and I'm in development of launching a new YouTube channel and podcast channel just to help people understand with easy messages that it can be done. It's not as overwhelming as you think. It's not as intimidating as you think. The tools and resources are there for you. You can pull some small levers and you can advance your business in a very short period of time with just the right strategy and the right intention.
You have given so many good, juicy, tips and tricks. So this last question might be hard, but if you could only give one piece of advice to an entrepreneur getting started today, what would that piece of advice be?
Yeah, that is a hard one. There's only one piece of advice. And, I think back about a year ago, I was in the Western Sahara Desert, and I was traveling on a road. It was dirt road all by myself, part of the world that's not safe for women to be on. And I just had a driver that I hired to take me from point A to point B, and a sandstorm picked up. It was very intimidating, very scary. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like, am I going to make this? What's going to happen? It was 60-mile-an-hour winds, couldn't see anything. And as I'm starting to have a full-on panic attack, basically, the dust starts to clear. And all of a sudden I can see this beautiful beach where the Atlantic Ocean meets the Western Sahara Desert. And we start to approach the serene, peaceful environment. And I thank my guide. We can't communicate, but I thank my guide. And I think back to one of my business mentors who said, being an entrepreneur, all of us, we feel like we're on a road alone, navigating these waters that are uncharted. We don't really know where we're going or how to get there. And that experience in the Sahara Desert, I sort of trusted this guide, and we made it to the most beautiful part of the Western Sahara Desert. And so the advice that mentor gave me resonated me with that moment in time. So I will share it with your audience as well, which is you don't have to do it alone. Find your tribe of trusted, whether it's mentors, whether it's coaches, whether it is, partners, whether it is your team that you're hiring. Surround yourself with people that will help you navigate any storm, any uncharted waters, and take your business to the next level. So I think that message, was just so powerful for me. I thought of it at that moment in time, and I always keep that in the back of my mind. If it feels hard or feels challenging or overwhelming, do not have to do it alone. There is somebody out there. There is a resource. So surround yourself with those teams of people, and the sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's something that could also be used as an analogy before that I learned quite a bit ago from someone as well, is that, the sky is usually the clearest right after the storm. So it's like,
Yes.
You're in there and it's like scary and there's so much going on and there's so much chaos. And it's like, if you just hold on a little bit longer, everything will part and that clarity will be there. So, well, Kasey, thank you so much. We could talk all day long. I appreciate you being on the show, and I hope to have you on again soon.
Yes. Thank you for having me, CJ. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a good day. We'll see you guys next time here in the Den.